The wipers dragged across the windshield in a slow, deliberate rhythm, keeping time with the rain. Their scrape left a streak of gray where my hand had pressed too hard against the glass. I wasn't sure if the dampness smeared across my knuckles was sweat or blood. The leather under me still carried that untouched, brand-new scent, like it hadn't been lived in long enough to know loss. Her perfume, though, that lingered. Thin and stubborn, it floated in the air like a spirit refusing release. I stayed in the driver's seat long after she'd slammed the door behind her, long after the sound of her footsteps faded into the wet street. She didn't pack boxes, didn't take furniture or photos. She only carried her stillness, the silence that left with her, and the keys to a future I had scraped and bled to build. That morning, she'd stood in the doorway with her bag already zipped and waiting. Her face gave me nothing. No fury, no sorrow, not even the courtesy of regret. Just a calm so still it felt funereal, as if I were watching my own eulogy performed without words. I'm moving in with someone else. The way she said it wasn't fire or rage. It was ice, a chill slipping off her tongue, filling the room like a draft through a broken window. I remember her steps as she left, how each one carried the dull thud of something dying that I hadn't realized was still alive inside me. I thought back to the first time she cried in my arms, a cramped one-bedroom that smelled of scorched toast and cheap detergent. I held her like I was afraid she'd break, or maybe because I needed to believe I mattered to her in a way no one else did. She wanted law school. I wanted her dreams to feel reachable. I sold my father's watch to pay tuition, worked double shifts to keep the lights on, bought her a black car because she said black was power. I told myself I liked walking, like the bus, like the ache in my feet. Back then I didn't call it sacrifice. I called it love, or something close enough to pass for it. There's still a receipt tucked inside a book on the shelf, proof her tuition was paid in full. My signature across the bottom used to fill me with pride. Now it looks more like a death certificate. She only called once after she left. Her voice cracked, brittle as old paint peeling from a wall. The tuition check had bounced. She needed me. I let the silence swallow her words and didn't answer. The coffee cup she left behind still sat in the sink, her lipstick mark drying on the rim. Not mine. Not meant for me anymore. I picked it up like it was fragile glass and dropped it into the trash, as if the wrong kind of pressure might shatter something in me instead. The signs had been there long before. Messages she didn't bother to erase. Perfume on scarves I never bought her. Jewelry that didn't come from my hands. But it wasn't those clues that gutted me. It was her eyes that last morning, how she looked at me as though I was already erased. A stranger who'd once lived in her house. One winter night she had stood barefoot on the porch, laughing into the midnight air at nothing. I draped my coat around her, and she whispered she loved that I always knew what to do. I wonder now if she meant it, or if she was already composing her goodbye. The silence in the house has weight now, a pulse of its own. It seeps into the walls, curls under the blankets beside me, cold and constant. People think betrayal sounds like chaos. Screaming, shattering dishes, doors slammed hard enough to rattle frames. But the worst betrayal doesn't raise its voice. It's untouched dinners congealing on plates for two. It's the hollow ping of a phone that never vibrates. It's a photograph of her smile folded into your wallet, while her body rests in someone else's arms. She said she found her true love. Then what was I? A placeholder? A wallet with a heartbeat? A safe landing until she found somewhere else to fall? I didn't ask. I knew the answer didn't matter. Weeks passed. Her tuition remained unpaid. Her unread texts stacked like unopened mail. I pictured her trying to explain at the registrar's desk, maybe breaking down, maybe not. Maybe she missed me. Or maybe she only missed the credit card I'd carried for her. There's a strange kind of liberation in being discarded. You stop acting. You stop wearing the costume of the person they wanted. You become the silence they left behind. I kept the car, not out of spite but because it reminds me of the man I once was. A man who believed that love, if you watered it enough, could bloom again. Now I drive it alone, the leather still soft, the engine steady, the passenger seat always occupied by her absence stitched into the daylight. Sometimes I park outside the law building. Not to catch a glimpse of her, not to confront, just to stand in the shadow of the dream I helped build but never got to share. Last night I opened a drawer and found her textbooks stacked, their spines uncracked, pages untouched. I didn't throw them out. I closed the drawer with deliberate care. Some ghosts don't rage, they simply wait. She took my love. I handed it over. She took my money. I worked for it. She took the warmth I had, and when she'd had her fill, she walked away. And I let her. That's the wound that festers. Not her leaving, but my permission. But I've learned there is strength in quiet. In not chasing. In not returning the call when her world finally begins to crumble. She may have found her lover. But I discovered something else: silence. And for the first time it holds me close and it doesn't let go.